walking over the matted-down grass where Juliet had pitched her tent. At 17, Wendy was the eldest of the Longstreet grandchildren. She was short and slim and had dark hair and dark eyes like her mother, who'd walked out on Juliet's oldest brother 15 years ago. Susie Longstreet had homeschooled her only child. Wendy graduated a year earlier than her peers, but decided not to go straight to college. Then, over the summer, Susie announced she was renting her house and leaving on the 1st of September to study yoga in Nova Scotia for 6 months. That left Wendy with few options, but she chose to live with her Longstreet grandparents and work at the family landscaping business. She seemed happy with her decision. She was a hard worker, but she was self-conscious, determined to see herself as something of a mutant because she wasn't tall and big-boned, or fair-haired and blue-eyed like her Longstreet grandparents, her father, or her 4 uncles and aunt. There were days Juliet would have traded Wendy for her long, fine, straight, dark hair. Her own was cut short and filled with cowlicks. She'd never figured out what to do with it. "Grandma said to tell you lunch will be on the table in 20 minutes, Wendy said. "Thanks. Who'll be there?" "Grandma, Grandpa, Uncle Sam, and Aunt Elizabeth." Wendy studied the water. "Dad." For the Longstreets, a small gathering. "All right, I should get moving anyway." "Do you think I could visit you in New York sometime?" "Sure, Wendy, of course. Do you have something special in mind you'd like to do there?" "Everything. I haven't been since Mom took me when I was 10. I'd love to go to the theater and see Central Park and Fifth Avenue and go to museums. Mom and I went to the Met, but we didn't see all of it. My apartment's only a few blocks from the Museum of Natural History, but I'm only there for another month or so. My friend Frida will be back from LA then and need her apartment back. Maybe I can come before you have to move? That'd be great." She seemed satisfied. Of Juliet's 7 and counting nieces and nephews, Wendy was the most difficult to talk to. It wasn't just the divorce, the homeschooling, the tension between her mother and the expansive Longstreet clan. It was the girl herself. She was private, cerebral, defensive, and very sensitive. "She's not like all you Longstreet lunkheads," Susie would say. And she'd be right, Juliet thought. Wendy was her own person. In fact, last night over dinner, she'd informed her father, aunt, and grandparents that she was going vegan. She'd been a vegetarian for 2 years, but now she was locking down even further, eliminating all animal products from her diet, including milk and eggs. Joshua had stalked from the table, telling his daughter she'd dry up on a stick and blow away if she didn't get a grip. In the morning, her grandparents had made her an omelet with cheddar cheese, as if she'd never said a word about her intentions. Offended, Wendy marched up to her room and stayed there. When Juliet headed back out to the lake, she'd noticed her niece up in her window seat, scribbling madly on a pad of paper. Her mother said Wendy wanted to be a doctor. Juliet wasn't so sure. "Come on, Space Shot," Wendy said, cheerfully clapping her hands at the dog. "Let's go back to the house. Come on, let's run." The dog didn't follow her lead and run to the path. He resumed his determined but interminable waddle. But at least Wendy was laughing, and, for the first time since Juliet had arrived in Vermont 3 days ago, she thought her niece would be okay for the next 6 months with her mother in Nova Scotia. At least she'd had the sense not to try to live with her father at his place in town. As a Vermont state trooper, Joshua didn't keep a regular schedule, and he wasn't an easy man, even on a good day. He was the oldest of the 6 Longstreet siblings, Juliet the youngest and the only sister. None of her brothers fazed Juliet, but Wendy wasn't quite as hard-headed as her aunt, or the rest of the Longstreet lunkheads.